Superman Son of Kal-El issue 10, Tom Taylor and Cian Turmey on the art. So that's pretty much kicked off where it left, which is people are being
Afraid.
told that John killed someone, because that's what it looked like. Lex is making a speech, he's spreading all this propaganda, and John's still like, well, I don't like that I'm hearing this everywhere I go, but I still have to go and help people. So anyway, it has this situation where he saves like a father and daughter, and the father's kind of being protective of his daughter, isn't very nice to John, but then the girl, after Superman saves them, says, no, I believe you, Superman, and he kind of says something nice to her, and it's a really sweet moment that just sort of gives you an example of him still being him.
Yeah, I loved it. He's trying to, because this big old like pillar fell into this, what was it, a train station or something in Ireland, and he's trying to come up with a way to get the people out, but without causing more damage, because he doesn't want the spire to fall on them. And so he's coming up a way, and then the dad is having an issue because he's believing the news. And then he tells the little girl, he's like, hey, put in a good word with your dad. Or the girl tells him that. Can't quite remember. And I just thought, again, these little human moments, Taylor's really good at with John, because it's just like in that issue with the girl that got lost in the jungle, and John helps her through. He's really good at these human moments.
Yeah, it continues the connection with Dick, who, him and Oracle call him. And
I just would say, I don't believe this is the real Dick Grayson.
Why?
He's not wearing a funky t-shirt.
I do love this whole vibe of them sitting there with the dog, watching the news and being, and there's this one panel that has Dick and Babs on there, and they just feel like a power couple, but not in that way like, Bruce and Selena do. But it feels real, like they're your cool aunt and uncle, which I feel is the vibe that Taylor wants him to have for John.
Yeah, so Lois is at this conference where Lex is spouting all this stuff and speaks up. Lex starts interacting with her, starts talking about her son, all the rest of it, and she's like, no, there's someone you're helping frame my son, and how about you prove that you believe what you're saying? And pulls out what looks like the lasso, the golden lasso. And obviously this all builds up to something later where it's not really the lasso, she just painted a rope gold, and she points out that she never actually said that's what it was. She just let the implication
she said speak your truth while holding it, so just the illusion of truth and then this yellow rope.
Yeah, it's just the implication.
And the fact that she knew that Luthor would not take the bait on that, right?
Imagine if Luthor had called the bluff, right?
Yeah. But I still think like it would have been enough that, but he didn't want to risk it. And so I love that he leaves the podium and then she takes the podium. Like, it's such a great Lois move.
Not for long, because one of his goons comes up to try and grab her, which, obviously John comes swooping in at that point. But yeah, so the other big thing in the issue, of course, is that John comes out to Lois in the next scene. And she's she's just immediately cool with it. There's a big full page spread of her hugging him, and like she kind of already had a guess because she's Lois Lane. I actually really like though that he points out that you literally thought Superman and Clark Kent were different people for years. Yeah, and she's like, shut up, you little bitch.
I've won Pulitzer since then.
You shut up! Don't you point out the one stupid thing I did.
Yeah, the Pulitzer Simpson's up there with the she's bad at spelling, despite being the world's greatest journalist.
Yeah. Honestly, though, my favorite joke of the issue might be when Batman shows up and John's like, "Wait, I didn't see or hear you come in. How did you do that?" I'm Batman. That's not an adequate answer. How did you do that?
It's funnier because Lois says he's Batman.
True. Yeah.
That is no way a satisfactory answer to my question.
Yeah. I do. I mean, obviously it's a little bit gimmicky. It's a little bit because Batman, but I do love the running gag that beings that have superior strength, speed, senses, smell, sound. Somehow he still sticks up on them.
Because Batman.
Because Batman.
Well, and Lois
because it's played as a joke as well. It's not like saving the day, and it's not a big solution to everything. It's all because Batman.
Yeah, no, but and again, it's Lois selling it too. She's like, it's just something you get used to. It's kind of like Gordon. Yeah. I love the fact that like when you see Gordon not being used to it, like when he goes to talk to him and he's gone, But Lois is just used to it.
This is basically just an evolution of Long Halloween, where Gordon says to Dent he does that, right? It's this basically the evolution of that.
Yeah. But yeah, and then they have to go because now they've pissed off Luthor and Bendix, and Lois. They know where Lois and him live, so they're huge targets. So we got to get you to the safe house.
Yeah, and notably when John says, "Can Jay come with?" Batman says no, and you think he's just being a hard ass because it's just a safe house for you too. But then when he gets on the jet, the final cliffhanger of the issue is like, I know who that boy is, that Jay. You can't trust him. So it's like, so Batman knows who he is, and for some reason does not think he should be associated with him.
I'm not thrilled by this element, if I'm honest.
So I think that knowing I've read enough Taylor, right? I know is that Bruce isn't old, right? And he doesn't trust that Jay is 100% about the truth.
I suspect that he has done something that would make Batman not like him, but ultimately this is going to be a story of that he's still ultimately good by the end.
Yeah, and that he might be compromised because of who his mom is with Gamora and whatnot. But yeah, I don't think they're sinister vibes.
Thrilled about I'm not concerned about the resolution because I don't think it's going to be that out there or weird. It's more just I don't want a whole issue of Batman being like, you can't trust him, and then John being all weird and starting to doubt Jay, and that part of the plot is just a bit tedious to me, and I kind of feel like I wish we hadn't gone down that route.
I mean, it's up there with the Jay's mom being
didn't enjoy that either.
It was part of that.
I mean, I didn't like the mum thing. Like, I was on record of not liking that. I will say with this, I actually do kind of like it because I felt Jay's been a little too good to be true this whole time. It feels a little bit too perfect. So I actually kind of appreciate that there is some sort of skeleton because I just feel there needs to be. Because right now he feels a little too just, he's the perfect new friend who's got romantic feelings for.
Which is fine. But then I kind of, at that point, if you are going down that route, I would almost prefer it if it doesn't work out then, because whatever it was actually quite bad, and John doesn't trust him for that. But within 2 or 3 issues, it'll all be forgiven, and everything will be back to normal, and that's.
I mean, we'll see what it is. You're making a lot of assumptions as to how this is going to go.
Yeah,
I am.
Again, Taylor has enough trust in me at this point that I feel like he's going to stick whatever landing, even though I didn't like the mom reveal. It's still fine.
Yeah, the mom reveal wasn't good. I still don't like that, but this to me worked at the end, partly because of what it just followed. The fact that it became right after Lois kind of approving of the whole thing and wanting to make sure Jay didn't feel uncomfortable with being out of the room. I think narratively and the way it was presented worked really well as a plot beat in this issue. And I'm not, I trust Taylor enough at this point that I'm not going to assume that he's going to mess this up by it not working. So
I'm in the same boat. Like, you don't this is John's first big relationship that we've seen, and I feel like you don't overly complicate it by, Batman doesn't trust him, and I feel like John's at the point where he's like, well, I don't care what Batman thinks. Batman can be wrong.
I think he might care, but he's going to not believe him and try and convince him of otherwise. Yeah. And maybe part of the story is proving to Batman that he's wrong, and that comes with it its own. Because even in this issue, like, they almost sets up this idea that John will question things with Batman by even questioning, how did I not sense you coming in here? I don't like that.
Right.
That's fishy.
Right.
So yeah.
But yeah.
Just to give some positivity into this.
Yeah, no, I really like that.
I like most of the issue. I just don't really enjoy this last bit. And part of it is my assumptions of what is coming next, because what usually comes next, like I say, it'll be he'll tell Batman that he's wrong, that of course he can trust him, but he'll go and see Jay and there'll be just 1 or 2 little things that niggle, and he's like, maybe there is something, and we'll have to go through, and it'll go through an issue, and then it'll all come out, and then it'll be like, actually, it's fine, I forgive you.
I feel like Jay is using John as a means to an end, but I also feel like the feelings are true. He just knows
it started that way, but it's not what it is now. It'll be something like that, and
that's comic book tropey relationship-y stuff. Like,
it is, and that's why I'm not thrilled about it.
That's fine.
It feels a bit generic.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me because of the bigger story he's telling with John being this symbol, right? like his father was, and that he's more worried about that, and they're trying to break that trust by making him look like, oh, he sided with the monster, and and he killed a guy, and they're trying to break that. I'm much more invested in that side than John's personal, which that can get tropey, whatever, but that's just a smaller piece of this overall story.
Yeah, I say there's a lot of assumptions being made right now, and I don't know if I'd throw any of it under the bus until we actually see how the story plays out, because we don't really know which tactic he's going to take. But yeah, so yeah, the obviously the book looked good. Obviously it wasn't Redondo like the last issue, so it was a slight step down in that case, but
Tormey's pretty good, and it fits that the other artist that's been on the book.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, I particularly enjoyed a lot of the facial expressions, I think, from Lois, especially when she was tackling with Lex, and then the stuff with the scenes with John and him coming out to her. I think there's good expressions in those scenes that really worked with the kind of the intent of the moments. There was a lot of personality coming off the characters, especially Lois, I think, in this issue.
Yep. As a longtime Lois fan, it's great that she had some spotlight and someone like Taylor writing her, just because the liveliness is there. And sometimes I feel like people can totally miss Lois's voice by trying to write her too smart or too snappy, and Taylor balances it enough. So, like, just the reveal, like, it wasn't, like, we all kind of knew it wasn't the actual Golden Lasso, but just the fact that she pulls it out and it's something that we could believe, I just feel like it's such a great moment.
All right. What are you giving the issue, Matt?
This is an 8.
Cool. Connor?
I'll give it a 7.
I will give it an 8 myself. It was pretty good.
Stop.
What?
You're giving my rating system like
validation.
Yeah, validation.
Is it possible Matt's learned to rate things properly over time without realizing it?
No, because he gave this an 8.